Fluff McFluffy, Furball, Hairball. I don't know, Fluffy McFlufferson, Furball, Hairball.
All right, good morning, good morning.
Oh shit, put some bacon on it.
Got my sandwiches being made. We're just packing up lunch, getting stuff ready. I think we're gonna get on a fly bite today. That's what my plan is. I'm gonna throw that marabou hair jig around. What the importance of the marabou hair jig is, what the advantages of using it are.
Yeah, so the marabou hair jig was invented in 1957 by a guy named Bill Ward, who invented it for his dad, who was fishing trout in the White River in Arkansas. He invented it, a 16th ounce marabou hair jig, and I guess it just apparently freaking smashed them. And then somehow, you know, I don't know the complete history about it, but I know that it ended up making its way up north. And in the 90s, guys, you know, Canadian guides and tournament anglers were using it to catch smallmouth and walleye, and they were absolutely obliterating them. Those Canadian anglers started fishing northern Minnesota tournaments for smallmouth and crushing the field with them. It was kind of a well-kept secret to, you know, the smallmouth world for a little while, but I think that the Linders definitely modernized it and brought it to everybody's attention. You know, I remember the first time that I threw a hair jig, I actually caught a 4-pounder on the very first cast, and it was kind of cool. I seen him on 2D right below my boat, and I dropped it down and just said, I wonder if this thing will work. And I just raised it up and down once or twice, and there's a 3-pounder on there. So I had confidence the very first day that I threw it.
All right, we just got here. Check this out. She is freaking glass out there. So we're gonna go hit up the first area, see if we can catch them. Dude, I'm getting excited. You excited, DJ?
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get after it.
Another thing to note about that day is I did not have the right rod. I didn't even know what a hair jig rod was. But what I did was I took my drop shot rod and I would cast it, and it would only go so far. It would only go like, it seemed like 10 yards, right? And so I casted it behind my boat and I just basically towed it or trolled it up and down at like 1 mile per hour up and down this reef. And it was like, I couldn't even get, you know, 40 feet. And boom, I'd hook one. And then boom, I'd hook one. And then after that, that's when I got into hair jig fishing, got the right rod. You know, now I use an 8-foot rod and it casts a country mile, even into the wind. Definitely got into it and found it as one of the most effective techniques that I've used for smallmouth bass fishing. For water footage, dude.
Yeah. So you're in the water?
Yeah. So one thing that should have happened when we pulled up to this spot is I should have pulled up with our backs to the sun. So I'm gonna rotate us here in a second, but best thing to do, pull up to your spot, back towards the sun, and start looking for beds, looking for bedded fish. Like I said, we're gonna get around this rock spine and just start looking around and just see what we can find. I'm coming up to the bottom of it right now. Whoop. That was a horse cast. Now, one thing to note with marabou is this is really light stuff. So I'm throwing an 1/8 ounce marabou hair jig. The biggest thing I think with the hair jig is the rod that you're using. Now I'm using an 8 foot long rod, which really allows me to get that hair jig out there. And distance on the cast is probably like by far the most important thing with this hair jig, is getting it away from the boat as far as you can. There's a tire. Put the old hood up. Now there's 2 things going on right now. The first thing is I'm watching my hair jig. I want to know if a fish is going to follow it. That's key. Always keep your eyes peeled to make sure that you're not missing out on a follower. And it's going to tell you if you can get vid on the play or on the structure that you're fishing. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm really making sure that I'm looking for the areas where I know there's going to be beds in this area, and looking at them very closely to make sure that I'm not seeing a ton of them on beds, because then I know that they're locked down and there should be some females like somewhat close to the area that I'm in. Whoop. I've been getting so many messages, guys, over the last like couple weeks, and everybody wants to know if these fish are on beds. And I always tell people all the time, like, I do target bed fish and I take clients to target bed fish. It's a good way to get a good bag going. But if I'm being completely honest, the bigger fish are not sitting on beds. The bigger fish are the females, and they pull off the beds or they're coming to go on the bed. So those are the fish that I want to target, and oftentimes they're going to be twice as big as the bed fish. Now, it's not to say you can't get on a good bag if you're bed fishing. You can get on a really good bag if you're targeting pre-spawn smallmouth as opposed to bed fish. It's kind of controversial though, like targeting those bed fish. I get it. I get people's argument for not doing it, and I get people's argument for doing it too. And one big tool that I'm using when I'm down here, especially this time of year, is Mega 360, because I can see the shape of the rock spine and I know where I need to put my boat. Now today isn't as big of a deal because you guys can see it's super calm out, sun's out, everything looks really good, but the trick is when it gets cloudy, you get some wake in the water and the rock spine disappears to your eyes. And that's when it's going to be important to be able to see and tell where you are and where you're positioned at on the rock spine, because these fish position themselves very specific on this thing sometimes. Now, being that it's clear out and it's calm conditions and there's bugs floating around everywhere, the fish that aren't going to position themselves on the spine are probably going to pop out and start feeding off of it. So I'm not as apprehensive to fish the whole thing as if it was like windier and cloudier out. Then they might stay tucked in. That wind might cause them to position themselves where they're tucked up tight to the rock spine and they're not wanting to come out. There's a bass. Boy, oh, oh, boy, oh, boy. Where are you, bass? Smallmouth bass. I just want one big one. Yes, sir. No. He's not a bad one though. Found one. Found us a hair jig eater. Oh, he's decent. Oh yes, dude, look at him. He's got a couple with him. Look at that one. It's with him. She's a biggin. Come here, big girl. Come here, big girl. I'll let you do that one more time. Not supposed to grab the line, just grab your lip. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That's a pre-spawner too. Freaking fatty. Nice. Marabou hair jig. Firefly to the snooch. I've been using the Outcast Tackle Fighter Fly, but this is the one that I choose. It's got a Gamakatsu hook, thin wire, and it's a mean little machine. It just straight catches them, man. People are probably so confused. They're like, what's with this guy? Oh yeah. Another fly eater. Not a big one. Guys, like the most important thing when you're throwing this fly is to make sure that you got not only the right rod, but definitely a really good reel, because these flies are super, super, super light wire hook. So, and that's one thing that I really like about Outcast Tackle's Fighter Fly, is that it's made with quality stuff, so you ain't gotta worry about it. Just a little guy, but whoop. He ate it. I don't think he picked it up off a bed. It's one of those techniques that's great for when you got clients. It's a do-nothing bait. It's definitely a do-nothing bait, especially when you have clients that are kind of inexperienced fishermen, but they love catching fish. This is probably the easiest thing next to a paddle tail that you can have a client throw. They just throw it out as far as they can. You know, we are using an 8-foot rod, so they don't have problems casting it super far, and they literally just reel it in. And you pair it with the right reel, you have the right tackle set up. All they gotta do is just hang on to the rod. The fish eats it, and the rod, the line, and everything else, the hook, the whole setup just takes care of the rest. All you gotta do is literally just hold it and reel it while I stand there and net your 5-pounder. So it turns leery fish into biters.
Yeah?
Yep.
On the fly?
Yeah, not the fighter. Not the fighter fly though.
Which one?
I don't know, it's this one my grandpa used to.
Oh! That's a good one, bro. It's a freaking giant.
Dude, do we got giant on right now? Oh yeah. Dude, that's a stud. Look at him. That's 5 pounds, dude. Yeah, that's a damn 5-pounder. Where'd he go? There he is. Yeah, that's a freaking 5er, dude. That's what that is.
Dude. Nice.
Stud.
Oh my God, that's a giant, dude. That's a pre-spawner. Catching these pre-spawners out here, dude. Look at that thing. Yeah.
DJ with the 5 yonder. Hair jig to the freaking dome. Golly, that thing is a magnum.
Pre-spawner too.
The hair jig for sure has a drawing power that other baits just don't have. It's very non-threatening. It makes it smallmouth very curious as to what it is. I, to this day, have no clue what they even think that this bait is. I have no idea if they think that it's a leech, if they think it's a bug. Smallmouth are super curious. They love following stuff. They love looking at stuff. I've seen them the way that they size up my jerkbait. So this bait has great draw power, and it can just take a fish with whatever mood it may be in and get them to come in and hunt it down and investigate it at the very least. You know, you could fish these however you want to. I've seen them eat this from the bottom. I've seen them eat this when it's just swimming through the water column. I've seen them eat it on the pause when you stop it. But for me personally, my favorite way to fish it is just to do a straight retrieve. I feel like I get the best hook sets fishing it that way, and I get a lot of biters. So even when, like, I don't think that you can get a great hook set with this if it was laying on the bottom and I swiped up with it, but I literally just hold my rod out there like this, crank it in, and when they bite, I just go like that with my rod, and everything takes care of the rest. It's kind of amazing to watch, like throwing this on a school of fish, if they don't eat it right away, how many actually come and follow this bad boy. It's actually pretty cool. Hair jig is definitely gonna be in my boat until the day that I die, and it will be on the front deck of this boat, and we are planning on catching them with it for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna link all my products at the bottom of my description. If you guys buy these products off of my description, it helps my channel out. One free way that you guys can go and support me is all you gotta do is click that subscribe button and hit the like button. That's gonna help me out big time. If there's any type of content or any type of things that you guys wanna see that relates to Mille Lacs Lake, comment down below. And until then, we'll see you guys out on the water.